depuis le temps où tout te souriait, le temps où toutes les filles t'adoraient. Dis, je ne comprends plus ce qui a bien pu te changer autant. Ton regard est bizarre, un peu trop flottant.
Good afternoon. I've been up for hours, I should know that. I just had to check. I minimized it, but what, okay. I have to change these from... I kind of feel like listening to this on speakers and not the headphones, to be honest. So I might not have my mic on for a bit. You'll get... because you'll get that background sound.
Un jour, il y a très longtemps, tu avais 20 ans, t'as coupé les dents. Et depuis, tu confonds ce qui est avec ce qu'on t'a donné, et tout est parfait. Comprends-tu pourquoi tu t'ennuies? Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, il rêve, mais tout est très bien comme ça. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, il rêve, ça viendra. Tu vois un vieillard tout gris dormant sur des grilles près du pont Sully. Il doit être très très mal. Toi tu ne comprends pas pourquoi il est là, pourquoi il a froid. Quand tu as un chez toi. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, il rêve, mais reste bien au chaud chez toi. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, il rêve, ça viendra.
I have my mic on here so I can talk occasionally now. No ruin the music, but whatever.
Tu as perdu ton âge, tu vis comme on surnage. Aujourd'hui, pour manger demain. Et puis déjà tu penses, on se voit en avance à tes prochaines vacances. Tu y vivras encore moins. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour...
Leave the app, not your music. Listen anywhere, anytime.
Pour cela, il rêve. Il y en a tant qui font comme toi. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela. Il rêve, ça viendra. Tu prends ton petit petit auto, ton petit métro. Tu quittes ta maison. Et puis tu n'entends plus rien, tu ne comprends plus rien, tu ne sais plus rien. Quand ta porte te crie Léon. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, ils rêvent, mais pense que ça leur passera. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, ils rêvent, ça viendra. Pourquoi l'argent dans leurs doigts ne les marque pas. Tu te sers si bien, tu tiens. Toi tu paies le loyer, la machine à laver, l'école pour l'aîné. Au fond, tu l'as bien gagné. Mais ne t'en fais pas pour cela, ils rêvent, mais laisse-les faire n'importe quoi.
Actually, what I just realized I could do is just if I just mute that, you got the background music from my microphone. You don't need to hear it in great detail. Should be able to hear me better than it. So slightly different method here. Cup. Cup container. Okay. That was fine. Hey, what's up, dude? I'm just fixing the make those bowls and cups work as containers. As I have to make sure that I make them duplicates of the backpack rather than just normal items. Oh, I can make them normal items. I just have to copy the code from the backpack and make sure it all works. But it's easier to just copy the. So anyway, I'm just redoing these. Wait. What did I just delete? What did I? What? All right. What did I just do though? Wait. Wood. Cup building, cup. Gourd building, gourd. Wood? Oh shit, I just deleted wood. Shit. Okay, so hold on. Okay.
Ensuite, tu feras le blasé, le gars complètement dégoûté. Va pas au rendez-vous, montre que tu t'en fous.
Fix the redirectors real quick. I was just like, what the hell? What just happened? It was so confusing.
Encore. Et encore. Assez. Les conseils, il les a suivis. Mais c'est ma famille qui l'a choisi. Pourquoi se jeter à l'eau? Des femmes, il y en a bien trop.
Leave the app, not your music. Listen anywhere, anytime.
Ay.
Boit-on l'huile de ricin? Bah, c'est grave. Termine ce litre fillette. Oui, mais pas plus. Et brûle-moi le bout des seins. Avec quoi? Au tison de ta cigarette. Ça sent cochonnerie. Pour avaler une araignée. Tu nous en fais bien des histoires. Toujours des araignées. Pour terminer ta bouchée. Oui, mais la dernière. Tu vois, c'est pas la mer à boire.
Man. Exciting times. At the fixing redirectors station.
C'est ton heure d'être fouetté. Au chic alors. Apporte-moi vite la badine. Ah, ce que j'aime ça. Après tu pourras m'enfoncer. Quoi, mon amour?
79%.
Dans la poitrine. Ça va être formidable. Il te faut manger ta purée. De gros cafards et des limaces. Je préfère les hannetons. Ne prends pas cette air dégoûté. Je voudrais que tu vois. Non, je t'en prie, pas de grimaces. Elles sont pas fraîches, tes limaces.
I have in my hand here a crow's beak, or if you like naming things in foreign languages for no particular reason, it's a vector callback, which is French for crow's beak. And you can see the beak here, which gives it
See?
its name.
See, he does it
It's
too.
not as long as a halberd.
It's a crow's beak, or bec de Corbin if you want to speak French.
And,
Freaking
halberds are
crow's
quite a bit
beak.
longer. This was used generally not by the ordinary foot soldiers, but by knights in lots of armour. And they appear in the very late medieval, 15th century typically. So these are being used by guys in lots of armour against other guys who are also wearing loads and loads of very good plate armour. Now, according to Wikipedia, which as you know is the most totally reliable source in the world on everything, the difference between a bec de Corbin and a lucerne hammer is the shape of the hammerhead. The bec de Corbin is split into 4 little bits, and the lucerne has one central big bit. I would take that with a massive pinch of salt if I were you. In fact, I don't intend to waste much of my life trying to work out exactly which term I should be applying to exactly which weapon. Different people in different times and different countries used the same word to refer to different weapons, or different words to refer to the same weapon. It's all very vague. Sometimes the hammerhead was one shape, sometimes another. Sometimes it had studs sticking out the front for grip, and other times it was plain. Sometimes it was divided into 3 or 4 prongs. Sometimes instead of a beak there was a curved axe head. Sometimes the spike at the top was really long, and other times it was more modest in proportion. Sometimes the axe head, instead of being curved, was straight, and sometimes instead of a spike at the top there was a spearhead, but more often actually I think there was a spike. And sometimes the hammerhead had a little sort of beak-like protrusion. Essentially, all these weapons are pretty much the same. You've got a 4 to 6 foot long stout stick, and at one end you've got a Swiss Army knife arrangement of killing cutlery. On one side, they've got a bashy bit. On the top, they've got a stabby bit. On the other side, they've got either a cutty or a pecky bit. And at the bottom, either on one side or both, they've got a hooky bit.
There we go. Crisis rewound.
The ancestor of these weapons is the warhammer. So you could say that all of these things are just like big, overgrown warhammers. But another ancestor is perhaps the Danish axe, which is sort of the same.
Got a Danish axe in the game.
A long stout stick, at the top of which there is a cutty bit, a bashy bit, a stabby bit, and a hooky bit. All right, so this is your new long axe, is it? And ouch! I see. Careful with that. Really sharp. You can have someone's eye out with that. Yes, you wouldn't want somebody's eye with an axe, would you? Are we French? No, man. Yeah, right.
Throwing knives again. Response to response about point about throwing knives. It's currently replacing files. Just deleted something, so it's replacing references to it.
Very glad. By the way, if you want to see it, you can click here. That's the link to their video. I'm very glad to see that you're experimenting, because experimenting is good. If you actually try something out, it's practical, and I always like to see that. Good to see that
There it
Elwood
is.
brave enough to rely on the shield in front of him. But he's quite confident, isn't he? He's quite confident that the not going to be pierced through it. If you threw something like a javelin hard at a board like that, I don't think he would have felt quite so confident behind it. Because javelins are really effective at penetrating. They're a lot heavier. They've got big heads and sharp bits on them, and it seems that they were a genuine threat to someone even behind a shield. Whereas it seems that you were confident behind that shield, you were safe. But that wasn't the point you're trying to make. The point you're trying to make was, does the point stick in even when someone is advancing or retreating from you? And I'm glad to see that you didn't talk about absolute no-spin knife throwing. You were accepting that there is a slight spin, I think it's called a quarter spin or whatever. It's almost impossible to throw something without spinning it at all. You can experiment yourselves with this. You can get a ball of any sort, get a tennis ball, and just try to throw it without spinning it at all. And you'll probably find that it's next to impossible. Anyway, with a knife, yes, you can throw one with a very, very slow spin. And yes, as you demonstrated, it will, at that sort of short range, that would be time. If someone were charging at you, that would be almost point blank, wouldn't it? We just have time to throw 1 or 2 knives like that before someone was just on top of you. But at that sort of range, you can get it to stick in with the right technique, point first, most of the time. Reasonably reliable. And I also accept that it's possible to be killed with a throwing knife. It's not terribly likely, but yes, it's possible. You penetrated deeply enough by a throwing knife that yes, it could kill you. What I, in my earlier video was making fun of was what we're shown in movies. What we're shown in movies is that knives are thrown end over end. They always stick in point first, even if they miss their intended target. And if they hit a person, they are invariably instantly fatal. And I think we're actually agreed that that is ridiculous. Now, my test for just how effective throwing knives are is, does anyone hunt with them? Now, in America, I think a fair few people, more than elsewhere is the impression I get, enjoy throwing knives as a fun thing to do, as a hobby. And, you know, it's quite satisfying, I'm sure, when you get a point first thump. Yes, got it in. That's great.
Here's the one I meant to do.
If you actually relied on hunting to feed yourself or make a living, would you choose the throwing knife? Does anyone? Obviously, Americans aren't throwing knives at each other, you know, in war anymore. But does anyone hunt? I mean, I know in America they hunt with bows and fishing rods and rifles and all manner of things. Does anyone hunt with throwing knives? Really? Would you choose that as a weapon? If you could say use a javelin? Oh yeah, lots of hunters from countries around the world, Australian Aboriginals, for instance, and tribes in Africa, they hunt with throwing weapons, and they tend to use speary, javelin-y, apple-y type things, which are really effective. Enormously more effective, may I suggest, than knives. Now, knives are definitely very common things, very effective weapons. We've used right the way throughout pretty much the entirety of the human past as stabby things. You get a knife, and you stab it in someone, and that's going to do them in. In close melee, a knife is extremely effective, but it's a really I bought this recently in Finland for a not insubstantial amount of money, and I have no intention of throwing this, frankly. It's just too nice, it's too expensive. And if I want to hit something hard by throwing something at it, well, stones are quite cheap, and I'll throw stones, and if you throw a decently hefty stone at someone, you hit them in the face, you'll smash bone, just as you were talking about how you could with a really heavy knife, just break bone just by the sheer mass of the thing you're throwing at that. Well, yeah, a stone will do that, and stones are very plentiful and they're very cheap. And if I want to use a specialist hurting people implement, javelins are good. Oh! Javelins are about the most effective throwing weapon, and also just about the most
there we go.
Throughout the whole of the past, all around the world. I don't think that's coincidence. So yes, you can get knives to stick in the way you say. You can throw with that very slow spin technique. But that's not what people in the ancient world were doing. If you go into battle, you want to use the most effective weapon. And the most effective throwing weapon wasn't a knife. It's all right, I've got them. Oh! When I was, I think, 13 years old, I bought a copy of RuneQuest and was very impressed by it in many ways. And one of the things I liked about it was the fumble system. I don't know if any roleplay game before then had a fumble table.
I need to work on the collision for that.
Table definitely made combats a bit more lively and entertaining. These are the things that go wrong when you're fighting. I did actually write my own fumble table to replace the one in RuneQuest, partly based on my personal experience of fighting. A lot of the things that they had on the table struck me as pretty improbable. Shield strap breaks, lose shield. I've never known that happen in any reenactment skirmish. It's not impossible, but pretty unlikely. So what, I hear you cry, are the most common fumbles? Well, slipping over is pretty common, losing your footing. One I can remember, because we used to do a lot of fighting in woods, was that you would walk backwards into something. That was very common because if someone's coming at you there, someone's coming at you there, you'd quite often just position and you'd be moving backwards, and that's a very easy way to walk backwards into a tree, trip over something. Getting your spear caught in a bush, that happened sometimes, but there was one type of fumble that easily accounted.
That's right, it's not my door, I can't open it.
I'd say,
why does it think I'm over the water? I was right above a crack in the floor here.
Particular kind.
It's funny.
And it's a kind which didn't get represented in RuneQuest, and I've not known it represented in any roleplay game or skirmish game, and it's the changing weapon fumble. That was the most vital part of our skirmishes. When I was doing reenactment, we started off with spears, and then there would come a point when you had to change weapon for something shorter. You would ditch your spear and draw a sword, or if you were closer than that, you perhaps ditch and draw a dagger, something really, really close. And if you didn't ditch your spear, he would then step up to you, your spear would be pretty useless, and he would get you with a shorter weapon. So you had to go to something short really, really quick. And it was that. The dropping the spear is easy, that's not difficult.
I wonder if we should be able to make it snap to anything.
Will you get your
Just snap
sword
to whatever you're pointing at.
quickly and cleanly? The tiniest bit of fumbling in getting your sword out,
That might be a good
very
idea.
often was fatal. You get hit with a blunt sword and you pretend to die. But in the skirmish system, in the game we were playing as reenactors, yeah.
I tried
that
doing
would be
this.
fatal. So
Look at that.
what I then introduced for my games of RuneQuest
did this.
is a die roll based on your skill at the weapon that you're changing to. So if you're a really, really good swordsman, you're not likely to fumble getting out a sword, but it's a significant chance. To get a new weapon out really quickly is inviting a fumble, particularly as usually when you're trying to get that weapon out, you're under pressure. There's someone coming at you with a weapon of more appropriate length to the distance that he's chosen, and you think, oh no, I've got a weapon that's too long, I'm going to have to ditch it. And whilst you're doing that, you're also trying to avoid him because he's got the advantage of you. Maybe he's got his sword already, he's charging at you, and you've got to be moving and trying to get your weapon out and not crash into the guys around you, not trip over tree stumps or whatever. And that's when it all went wrong. Obviously, if you're not doing it under pressure, and you could just put your spear down and then draw your sword at leisure and get ready, that's not a problem. But under pressure, it's very easy to fumble drawing your sword.
Check if that's
when I say
working.
fumble, I don't mean that you then end up dropping the sword on the floor. That didn't happen on the forest floor. That didn't happen very often. But a delay in getting your sword out, which meant that you would miss your chance to defend yourself using your sword, I suppose in roleplay game terms, miss next attack or something like that, that was very, very common.
Okay, it is a little bit to the left there. I guess it is working.
So, how does one use a crow's beak? Well, according to the treatises that I've seen, there's an awful lot of hooking involved, because this makes a very effective hook. You can get that round the back of somebody's knee and pull his leg towards you, perhaps bringing him off balance and falling onto his backside, or you can hook over his shoulder and pull towards you, perhaps breaking his balance, and he falls onto his face. You've got a spike at the top. It's quite definitely not a blade. This is a square cross-section, very, very stout spike. You could possibly puncture an enemy or just push him over with it and get a good hard grip on him, and then perhaps go for some weak point and finish him off with the spike. You've also got the hammerhead for battering him senseless, and in the case of the bec de corbin, the crow's beak, you've got this, which perhaps could puncture deep enough through armor to kill someone. And it's certainly not going to do him any good, is it? Now, the treatises I've seen show these as being used much like a quarterstaff. However, don't forget that they're used in these treatises for duels, one-on-one fights. Quite often the business end, the head end if you like, is actually held low, and
Let's try making it
is held high.
real quick. Let me see.
And some of the plays start with an attack with the feral end, or parry using the feral end, and then you go in with this end. It's rather difficult for me to demonstrate any of the moves here because I'm rather restricted for space.
What was that
so
being used on?
Something like a quarterstaff in two hands. You do not use this with a shield. It's way too heavy for a one-handed weapon. This is quite definitely two-handed and only two-handed. Now, looking at those plays, I remember thinking to myself, well, if you're going to use it that way, sure, you may as well have a hook on both ends. And then I saw this picture. This picture shows his judicial trial, and these chaps are trying to settle some dispute. I imagine, I hope, it's a very, very serious dispute, because these battles were generally to the death. And you'll notice that it's got a hook on both ends. There's a sort of fleur-de-lis thing on the opposite end. But I've never seen anything like that shown as being used in a battle. And that makes sense for me, because if you've got a hook on both ends of it, you could accidentally hook one of your own side and be a menace to your supporting fellows, and you wouldn't make yourself popular with them. So it's used a bit like a quarterstaff, but with a menagerie of killing bits at least one end. The crow's beak. Engage! From my days running around various woods and national parks in Britain, fighting skirmishes in Dark Age costume with other reenactment groups, I learned a thing or two about what makes a good fighter, what makes the sort of guy that you want to have on your side. Now, practicing on Thursday nights in the Students' Union in room 27, we would find that certain people were very good at wielding their weapons. So in a one-on-one duel, they were pretty handy and often won because they're very quick with their hands, they're very good at feinting and parrying and getting around your shield and stabbing and all the rest of it. And so you'd think, well, he's pretty handy. But actually, when it came to a skirmish, say 15 aside, 30 aside, something like that sort of size of fight, it was quite noticeable that they were not the most useful guys to have on your team. The people who made the greatest difference to which side won weren't the guys necessarily who were very good at wielding their weapons, but they were the guys who developed a sort of skirmish skill, if you like, an ability to read the battle, an ability to see when was the right time to charge, what the enemy was likely to do next, where our own lines were weak and which bit needed shoring up, where they were weak and how they could be exploited. These guys would take a look at the opposition, size up what the situation was, and showed initiative. They were very often the ones who managed to get round the flank and go along the back of their rows, stabbing those guys who were transfixed by the people in front of them. They're all fighting there, and I haven't seen them get round, and they get stabbed down the line, and suddenly it's all over very quickly. Once one side in a skirmish has got a fair bit ahead, then
I should do it. I should be able to snap to anything with that now.
how good you are at wielding your weapons. Even if the last three guys on the opposition side are really good at wielding their weapons, if they're surrounded by 12 other guys, they're not going to win. So it's the guys who've got this skirmishing skill. And this is a skill which seems to be absent from a lot of roleplay games. For example, lots of roleplay games will say how good you are with a sword or a spear or whatever. But how good are you at reading the battle? How good are you at knowing exactly when the right moment to charge is? How good are you at spotting the weaknesses of formation? Which guy in it is just about to attack or run away or whatever? Because
hey man, pouring. Oh, that sucks. It's like super nice, like 80 degrees Fahrenheit today, 88 or some shit.
And why it might be right or wrong. That decides who wins a skirmish far more than
taking a hot minute to compile. It's still doing that thing where the map is loading instantly now, but the controller's taking forever to load, as if the main level was cached. I already watched this one.
It's possible that there is some mechanical.
I already saw that. Even more points. Wait.
I have in my hand now a flail of some sort. Now,
This is
flails
new.
were used in agriculture for tasks like threshing, and it could well be that the first flails.
Should I put the audio pumped in through as well, like this? Or is the echo like bad?
You could develop a military version of that with metal chains and big metal weights on the end. Now this one has two chains with two weights on it. I have seen examples of reconstructions of those with 3 or more. I'm not completely convinced of how authentic all these are, however. One thing I find very odd about this multi-chain design is it makes the thing more.
I'm making a
more heavy.
snap to anything,
Take a big
basically.
swipe at someone and hit them quite hard with this. These chains are going to go taut, and they're going to stay taut all the way throughout the swing, which means that all the various flail heads are going to hit together, much like a single lump would have hit, but with a much heavier chain. So it makes it more awkward for no advantage that I can see straight away. I can see that this shape here is quite good for not interfering with others. So if you're going to have a number of spiked balls, for instance, the spikes would all be getting in each other's way, whereas these don't interfere with each other.
Yeah, anybody that's used one of these knows you can whirl them separately.
Could wrap onto an opponent and hit him quite hard. So yeah, that's a reasonable shape for the head to be. But why would you have more than one? Getting tangled up in your opponent's weapon is generally to your disadvantage. I don't know.
Nah,
To some degree, I'm
just
going to
joking.
admit to.
I've never actually used one of those.
So why have this chain at all? Well, I suppose there is something intimidating about these. If some guy comes up to you with one of these and threatens you with it.
William Wallace uses one in the movie Braveheart, so it must be real.
Maybe you're made of sterner stuff. But you can really whack with this. You can really belt really hard. I'm not going to do it because I'm in the front room. But you can wham really amazingly hard once with this. So possibly this was for softening up the target. He presents a shield or something, and you batter hell out of the shield. Perhaps smash his shield up. Perhaps impale this in his shield and then let go of it and inconveniences his shield. Perhaps you bash him once and then draw something that's quick to draw, like a sword.
So see, look, now it loads like instantly, which is cool.
I find it very difficult to believe that anyone went into battle armed solely with one of these. You would want something to back up. If you're on horseback, you have one
okay, so I'll just build some random shit.
Horse. And if you start swinging this around all over the place, and horses move unpredictably, and your enemies certainly move very unpredictably, you could end up.
Oh yeah, it is working.
Horse
oh shit! Look at that. I'm snapping it to any surface.
Quite next to me, and,
but it's not glowing. I have to make sure it does the glow. You see that? Check it out. I'm snapping to the floor.
I would definitely never try to
it's actually out here.
So unwieldy. If I came up against
I'm snapping to anything. What's up, Twist, man? How you doing?
I had one of these. My money would be on me, actually. On him. I meant to say on him. Stop the press. Again.
Oh man, I'm glad I decided to do this randomly.
Let it be said that I don't tell you the latest.
So that way I can snap onto these with at a really random angle. Where'd it go? Wait, what?
And he writes to tell me
Wait a
that he
second.
has just translated an 1836 manual by Capitaine de Basse, which itself references a 1736 manual by Girard. Granted, both these manuals are from long after the musket started to dominate the field.
Didn't work. Hold on.
And on a weapon he calls
oh, dude, I've had it for forever.
It serves only to make attacks and comprises no parries. And that seems to accord with what I've been saying, which is that you don't really fence with a flail. Of the flail or flog, he says it is a baton, a foot in length, furnished with 9 or fewer gut cords or strips of plaited leather, a meter in length, each terminating in a ball of lead. It is a formidable weapon, and why am I not reading this in an outrageous French accent? It is a formidable weapon. It comprises only of a single action, which is a twirling of the balls around the head. But the effect is such that one ball reaches the adversary at the same moment, or the other striking in the same spot.
This part, I gotta do this.
One of us have one ball. Hit you with that. What is 9 small balls better than one? I don't know. But anyway. Same spot. This
way.
Weapon, which is a good defense, offers no exercise of any use and is very dangerous to the user.
Try that.
One must be very strong at the two-ended staff before.
I don't usually test with it, but
runs the risk of killing one.
no, now I've got.
So there you go. Hot off the press. And,
basically now it'll snap to any surface at all.
Yes,
like
I know
anything.
I haven't dealt with the two-handed flail yet. But come on, 3 videos on the one-handed flail. That's good. Isn't it? Dingy Beige! Late medieval hitty things.
Hitty things.
In my left hand, something you might call a mace, but if you want to call it a morning star, I'm not going to stop you. And in my right hand, I have a warhammer of some sort. Why isn't this a Vector Corbin? Isn't that a crow's beak there? Well, the Vector Corbin was generally a much longer thing, sort of the length of a poleaxe, that sort of thing, but the height of a wheeler. Whereas this is quite clearly a one-handed weapon. I've got a hammer on one, a beak on the other, and a little spiky thing on the top. This is a
Filing and learning.
So you could thrust with these, although I would imagine that most of the thrusting was done really close up, rather than any sort of long reaching. These are smashing, piercing weapons, and I have a choice of a piercer or a smasher on this one, and I can change from one to the other in a blink. These appear late in the medieval period.
Sounded like he changed the audio.
The most probable reason for that is quite simple.
Any time?
what the opponent is wearing. If the other guy is wearing loads and loads of armour, then it's really difficult to hurt him with a sword. You can't cut through well-made metal armour. So you just try to bash the hell out of the guy in the armour and knock him senseless. Or possibly, with this, puncture deep enough to actually cause some significant damage. These are not wieldy weapons. If you have one of these in your hand and you take a big swing, the weight is all at this end. It gives you a lot of punch, bang, but then it's quite difficult to get back again to parry. And if someone wants to knock aside your weapon, he has a very easy time with it because all the weight's up here, so he just has to put some horizontal weight, force in there, and that knocks that aside. It's very slow for me to come back. So if someone's got something a bit nippier, like a longsword, I'm going to lose out. However, I don't believe anyone went into battle with just one of these. If I'm on a horse, I'm controlling my horse in the other hand, I take a big bash against you with this, and then I spur away. I'm away before you can respond. Or, if I'm on foot, I've got a shield in my other hand. I've made other videos about dual wielding. I don't believe people went into battle armed like this very often. So, is this a Lucerne hammer? No, it's a little bit too short. One other thing I wanted to talk about is the square section of the haft. Now, you can see that towards the head end, the square section makes perfect sense because these supporting bits of metal down the side want to rivet onto a flat surface, and so that accommodates them quite nicely. Now, this particular example, you notice, has got a rounded handle down where I hold it, and that makes it much quicker and easier for me to swap from one to the other. Now, someone else in another video on YouTube suggested that a reason for square-handled halves is that you can feel where the head is, and so you align your hand with the head correctly. So if I want to hit you with this beak, I want to hit you like that, and not accidentally like that. But the thing is that even with my eyes shut, I can feel immediately where the head is. I don't need the square handle at all to align this correctly. It's dead easy for me to realign, so I don't believe that reason for the square handle, the square halves. Right, late medieval hitty things. They have all sorts of heads, beaks, hammers, spikes, and so forth. I don't think we should really tie ourselves in knots as trying to categorise and name every single one. They're a weight on the end of a stick with some sharpness involved, and you hit people with them. There are two main ways to hold a knife, one point up and one point down. Now, in a knife fight, the prize is your life, not just avoiding some slit in your gown. So, you've got to get it right. This is a fight, but which is the better way? Well, perhaps it would shed some light if we see what the treatises say. Now, they seem quite clear. They prefer by far the downward or ice pick grip. True, the other way they don't exactly bar, but they never show us that flip. Now, it's of the rondel that they seek to teach us. It's thin and stabby and long, but what sort of techniques have failed to reach us? Perhaps the choice of the rondel is wrong. Now, I learned my knife fighting with a knife like this. It's shorter and fatter and sort of cutty. An attacker with this is just taking the piss against me with this. He's surely putty. Now, I learned through reenactment and kung fu, and not through late medieval sources. And I know that complacency will never do, so I took some HEMA courses. And I went along with an open mind, and took a wooden thing like this for safety's sake. And I tried out their moves to see what I could find. And, oh boy, the next day I didn't half ache. But anyway, I found that my first suspicion proved true. The ice pick grip limits your angles. There really is just one thing you can do. And, you know, I'd like more options when my life dangles by a thread. I'm this close to death. I can feel my heartbeat drumming. You know, this could be my last pain-free breath. Yeah, with just one opening move. He'll see it coming. You know, now it's a good stab, I'll grant you. It's hard and downward and deadly. But one stab is many too few. Now, if you put it this way, you've got a medley. Yeah. Now, try this. And hold it ice pick on the outward side. You get to here, and you're weak and in pain. Half decent force here applied, and down you go. Unlikely to rise again. It's feeble and slow and so easy to block. An attack from here just spells doom. I mean, look! You've near enough got me in an arm lock, and you're not even in the same room. Now, the treatises do show some attacks that drop low and then come up like so. But try that, and I'll be relaxed. You know, a big move like that is so slow, and if you offer your elbow like this to a foe, one push exposes your back and your head. So I know you're not going to land that blow. Before that, forget it. You're dead. So almost everything starts from here. And so after the block, then what next? Well, assuming you can overcome your fear, you could try what it says in the text. Typically you start by grabbing the blade. It's long, so it serves well as a lever. Its length acts as a disarming aid. And it's thin, so it's not much of a cleaver. But it's often at least a little bit sharp. So why didn't you cut your finger? Yeah, well, the alternative is you start playing the harp. So just grab it. This is no time to linger. Now, I'll choose something shorter and sharper. And I'll grip it my way, and we'll see who's the harper. And while you go in for some big twist, I'll slash you, it's quicker, and put a gash in your wrist. I'll cut through your tendons and under your arm, and turn your limb into so much slack rope. I have faith in the speed I do harm. You dope to pin on ice pick grip your hope. So, there are other ways, as shown by the likes of Fairbairn Sykes, to stab and slash in 100 strikes. So, come our dagger duel, I'll hold it my way. You hold it yours, and we'll see who carries the day. Having taken pause to reflect, maybe I wouldn't, because that's just what you'd expect. I have here two bits of wood that I've had made for me. This one is destined to be the handle of a poleaxe, and this one, much longer and thinner, will become a spear shaft. But before I attached the ironmongery to turn them into those weapons, I thought I'd use them for a while to illustrate quarterstaffs, or perhaps I should say quarterstaves. Now, some people will say that these weapons are actually called quarterstaves and not quarterstaffs, and some people will say that no, it's one quarterstaff, but two, plural, quarterstaves. Thank goodness such sort of drivel doesn't matter in videos like this. You know what I'm talking about? Big sticks that you hit people with. Right, so, quarterstaffs, because that's the word I'm used to. They are associated with the English. Oh, England, merry England, the stout yeomen of England, from about 1500 to the end of the 19th century. The English took great pride in their skill with the quarterstaff, and they trained in it, wrote things about it, and had competitions in it, and generally very proud of themselves. And there are heartwarming stories to warm the cockles of any Englishman's heart of men armed with these, beating up loads of Spaniards armed with rapiers and stuff. But before we get too carried away with the Englishness of the quarterstaff, can we just remind ourselves that we're talking about a big stick, and I don't think the English can really claim to have invented the big stick, nor be the first people in the world, or the only people in the world, ever to think to themselves, hey, do you know, you could hit people with these. Now, a style of kung fu that I studied for some years was Wing Chun, and that had a pole form. Granted, it's not a very ancient pole form, but I think we should just remind ourselves, it's a big stick. Now, just how big a stick is it? And is there anything else we should know about it? What's it made out of? Well, this one's made out of ash, and ash is controversy, ladies and gentlemen. It seems that last month I uploaded a video that got some people a little bit confused and even irate, and so this video is in order to clarify that previous video, which was about knife fighting, and it was in verse. Now, it seems that a lot of reenactors, HEMA people, have been a little bit upset because they've imagined, from what I said, quite wrongly, that I was saying that their hobbies, their pastimes, even their livelihoods were based on rubbish, and that I knew better, that somehow I was the world expert on knife fighting, which I'm not, and that...
Is it copyright to take his ideas? I just have my speakers on, so there we go. This is done. Check this out now.
And one thing it gets wrong, I think, is the concept of individual weapon skill. It doesn't get it
This loads much
completely
faster
wrong,
now.
but I think it misses
It just
an
takes forever to
important one.
compile. I don't know what happened.
In RuneQuest, a character might get extremely good with, let's say, for example, a spear, one-handed long spear, but might not use an axe at all. And so, by using that spear in many, many adventures and getting lots of experience with it and training and so forth, his skill in that spear goes up and up and up and up and up, whilst his skill in axe
Snap to
doesn't
anything.
really do a lot.
So now I can place stuff on the dock here.
At some point, when
It's not
that
turning
spear
off the
breaks,
thing, but I think it worked correctly this time.
and, he escapes from the prison and grabs the only weapon which is there, which is an axe. He's now in trouble because his axe skill is rubbish. Even though he's a tremendously experienced adventurer and has been in loads and loads of fights, with this axe, he's a bit rubbish.
Nice.
In Dungeons and Dragons and in other systems, the difference isn't quite so great because as you go up level, your basic attack ability goes up. Yes, you may have proficiencies and other twiddly things which make you better with particular weapons rather than other ones, but you do have a
All this is player-built
general
crap that I
fight
just
skill
threw
goes
down
up.
here.
And that's something which I think
Just to
is
kind of
true and accurate,
experiment
because,
with my building
yes, you may
system.
get very good at using a spear, but when you do escape from the prison and you grab that axe,
I need to
you've
put some more
actually got
walls
an
and stuff.
awful lot of skills, not to do with wielding the axe, but to do with fighting in general. You're very good, for instance, at looking at the other guy and working out what he's going to do next. That's a major skill. And whether you've got an axe in your hand or a spear in your hand, that's still there. You can look at him and think, I reckon he's going to try this. You've also, when you're using that spear against many, many opponents, you've gone up
Starting this
against
with item
people using
2.
axes, so you know what they're good at and what you've got to be careful of. So if I've got an axe, which I've hardly ever used, but I'm a really experienced spearman, and you've got a spear, I'm probably still the better fighter. If you're an inexperienced spearman, I'm still probably going to win this one because I know how I get past the point of your weapon and get up close to you. I know what I've got to do because people have tried to do it against me and I've had to fend them off. I know what this problem is. Admittedly, I've always faced it from the other way around, but still, I know what's going on here. I'm very good at judging the moment when to close suddenly with an opponent, when to back off. I'm very good at knowing which bit of my opponent to watch in order to work out where he's going to wield his weapons. I've got an awful lot of skills to do with the way I move my body, my footwork, my ability to dodge, my ability of keeping track of what's around me whilst I'm fighting. I have a general fight skill that's applicable to any weapon, and I think that's somewhere RuneQuest misses that. And
It's not turning the arrow off. So maybe it's just the banner itself, probably.
Represent a little bit better.
Yep, there it is. A darn checkbox.
Exactly. The aspect about ancient and medieval fighting I'm going to talk about today
Thanks.
is going to be something that's quite familiar to people who've done a lot of
Be sure to join us on Discord too if you want to chat. I post updates there all the time.
It's
It's a good community.
You see, if you receive a wound that kills you, you fall over.
Let's check out what other props I can add. I guess at this point,
But
I just added a feature.
will not kill you.
So, I mean, like,
They
yay!
may immobilize you. So, for instance, you get a spear in the belly or a gash to your thigh, and down you go. You can't get up. You can't.
Check
run
out my
up.
older
You are
videos. I did a lot of World Machine
still
usage.
conscious,
You can find all sorts of stuff there.
But the adrenaline's pumping, and you're still fighting.
I'll do more continents in the future too. I'll be doing 2 more big continents.
To those around you.
It's the plan, at least. We'll see how it behaves.
What do you want? Well, you can't run away because you've lost your
I need to
mobility,
grab
so
a
you don't
beverage real
want
quick,
them
but let's
on
see what's
the
next
because
here.
they're likely to kill you.
So I've done all of these. You saw the list here? These are all the building types. This is all the stuff you can build so far in the game. And when I do this public test soon, I'm going to make it so creative mode, basically, like Minecraft, where you can build any of these unlimited. And it'll be a stress test. We'll see how much it can handle. So far, I am up to... I haven't done the bushes and the vegetables and stuff. Just did hitching post and the house light that you can turn on and off. So here's a jar. That's just like the items I did before, except, you know, so they can hold things.
You outreach him. Yes, you outreach him.
I don't know if I want to put a jar in the game. I guess jar makes sense. Yeah, you can have a jar. Medieval jars in medieval times. Okay, he's talking a lot. I'll be right back, grabbing a beverage. One sec. I'm back.
I can just reach your shoulder, but your head is out of range and your chest is out of range. So if I come in just a little bit, I can now reach your head or reach your chest. But I can't reach your ankle. Not without getting right down and exposing the back of my head and so forth. I have to get really low and lunge really far forwards to reach your ankle. That's because the thing which I fight with, this weapon, is ultimately attached to me at shoulder height. So I have most reach at shoulder height. However, you're on the ground. So shoulder height to you now is ankle height to me. So you can reach my ankle before I can reach your head or chest to put you out of action. So you're really dangerous. Yes, I can, of course, put my sword down and parry at ankle height, but while I'm doing that, I'm putting myself in danger and I'm not finishing you off. So, what do? Well, of course, it's obvious. I should get down on the ground with you. I should lie next to you, and then we come to, it's a fair match. But no, that's ridiculous, because then I lose my mobility. That's my big advantage, right? I can move away. If you start getting the better of me, I can just back off. You can't charge in because you're immobilized. But I need to finish you off. I need to put you out of action because you're a danger and we are trying to advance. So what do? Well, what I do is I get a spear. I get a weapon that's longer than your weapon. And now you can't move, and I can stand at a distance where you can't reach me because you've got a sword, and I've got a spear, and eventually, stab, eventually I will get you. And if there are two of me, well, that is to say, if I have a friend, and he has a spear, with two of us, one of us can keep whatever weapon you've got occupied, and the other one skewers you, it's going to be over very, very quickly. Two spearmen against a down foe with a sword will win pretty quickly, pretty much every time. But what if you've got a spear? Well, again, if there are two spearmen, and that's easy to arrange, because in a group fight, one of the spearmen on my side, he can come over and help. But you can't recruit someone on the ground to help you, because people on the ground can't move because they're immobilized, remember? So we can use our mobility to outnumber you, and as soon as we outnumber you with spears, one of us occupies your spear for a bit, and the other one skewers you. So that's it. If you're immobilized, ideally you want a long weapon, but better than that is the protection of mobile friends of yours. And if you want to put someone out of action who's immobilized, spear is excellent, and a sword or something shorter than that is actually really not very good at all. So here I am with a couple of medieval reenactors, and they have their favourite weapons, which are polearms. And on the left, I see something, it's a bit like a glaive, it's a bit like a rancer, but possibly I would call that a fourchard. Is that what you would call it? A fourchard. Okay, and you've been fighting with it and experimenting with it, and you've drawn a conclusion about how it was used.
Practically, the hook, the side hook, would be to lock the other blade.
Okay, so one man armed with the fourchard traps an opponent's weapon, and then a friend standing next to him comes up and finishes the opponent off.
Or else the same person will take the distance.
There are some who will tell you that a polearm with this head is called a glaive, which is fine, and some who will say that to be a fourchard, a weapon has to have a concave cutting edge. But some apply the same name to ones that curve a fair bit further, and then others will say, no, that's not a fourchard, that's a hook or a bill or a gizarm. But others will say that anything with a hook on it is a gizarm, so if we go back to the glaive and add a hook, that's a gizarm. But others, to one who will tell you, comes...
Take the distance.
There are some who will tell you that a polearm with this head is called a glaive, which is fine, and some who will say that to be a fourchard, a weapon has to have a concave cutting edge. But some apply the same name to ones that curve a fair bit further, and then others will say, no, that's not a fourchard, that's a hook or a bill or a gizarm. But others will say that anything with a hook on it is a gizarm, so if we go back to the glaive and add a hook, that's a gizarm. But others will say, no, it's a glaive gizarm. But if so, then what's this, which is a pretty common shape? And what about the many bizarre variations? Does each need a separate name? But if you have a hook like this facing forwards, then you have a fourchard. Or is that a glaive fourchard? Because some would say that to be a fourchard, the whole thing should be a big fork-like tool. But if the concave edge thing is true, then what's this? A fourchard fourchard? There are so many variations on all these shapes incorporating bits of each other, and some of them are just bats, that you're free to make up your own, which I'm pretty sure is what they did back in the day.
Okay. That's
You'll
awesome.
notice that even in this collection of weapons, all from the same place and time, there is variation. That plainer one there, you could say that that's perhaps a glaive, but that one there's got the hook going the other way, so what's that? There are an awful lot of names for polearms, but there are vastly more shapes of polearms than there are names, so either we shouldn't be too precious about which name we use, or we have to agree that most polearms have no name, which is daft. Here we see two men fighting as individuals and not as men. Here we see two men. We have to agree that most polearms have
This shit looks amazing.
no name, which is daft.
Making
Here
me
we see two
rethink
men
my
fighting as individuals and not as men in a large formation. They're leading with the
thing.
butt end, trying to get into the perfect position for a swipe with the big end. The real weapon sometimes has spikes on the butt end, but the main fighting end is the cutty, hooky, slicey end. You see that they use footwork to get out of trouble, and you can't do that in a big formation. If they get the head of the weapon caught, they can usually pretty quickly extricate themselves. These men are wearing nice handmade costumes and no armor, so they are being very gentle with each other. Who has whose weapon locked here? Because each of you has the other...
We're both locked.
Right.
We're both locked, so we cannot really move.
Actually, I believe that I have the advantage because I can
He has
push
the
it down,
advantage.
open his chest to my opponent's blade, to my colleague's blade.
He can still attack me on the foot. For example, he got my distance. Or else, like this, I'm hooked with the bill. And practically, he can still guide with his momentum and attack me. If I lock him with this side,
That's too cool. I'm not alt-tabbing for a sec.
I have my advantage.
Actually, I feel off balance here.
I'm not gonna play it probably.
Okay.
I still control.
Which doesn't interest
Is
me.
it too dangerous to use the hook?
It's too much of a
So
traditional,
here's another trap.
Exactly.
not traditional, but
But like this, I still
know.
can get.
I don't think it looks awful or a scam. It's just not like my type thing. Not my kind of game.
And again, if we're aligned,
He has a rondel.
would have hit him quiet.
late 14th century outfit, while this is well placed in the 15th century and more in early Renaissance.
Yes.
Okay, so these are two. That's the disclaimer.
Okay, but they still haven't invented pockets. Come on, people, how difficult is a pocket? It's not that difficult.
You'd be surprised. So, start moving. I'm your battalion. It's like that. We're trying to get the advantage on the opponent. We want behind the other.
So now I can snap them into
So if I trip
buildings.
someone, I can
Okay.
pull her down, and he takes it off.
To step in
It's
and
fine
take out
for
the
now.
big spell like this would, I think, require either a very loose formation or only the front rank really fighting.
Because I can't figure. I have to make the hand swap thing first.
Now a swordsman will use this very pretty sword to show us the hopelessness of taking on a line of men with polearms. If you imagine a long line of halberdiers, then you can see that the chance of closing with one without getting stabbed by another is bordering on nil.
I'm gonna have to
They
reset
have many
the
hooks and the
item
like to
stuff.
snag you, and once you're snagged, you're fairly doomed.
Huh.
Or is it a bardiche?
Oh.
That's a bouge. I think it's time I talk to you about the
Pylum.
This is a very good reconstruction of a medieval longbow war arrow. It's got the feathery flanks back end for stability, and it's got the iron warhead at front, and in between the two, it's got a long wooden shaft which is quite thick. It has to be quite thick. It's much thicker than a target.
The keg.
Because the war bow
Oh yes.
and the only way you can make an arrow stronger is to make it thicker. So this is a thick shaft to withstand the very substantial launch stresses. So the archer will draw back his arrow, and at this point it would be quite content and stationary, and then
It's easy because I don't have to do anything with it.
would put a massive stress on one end of the arrow, and this pushing would cause the arrow to bend. And why would it bend? Well, it would bend because of something called inertia. Things that have mass are reluctant to move, and the more mass they have, the more reluctant they are to move. So you've got a length of wood that would rather stay still, frankly, and you suddenly push it that way, and because there's a reluctance to move, which I'll represent with as a resistance in my hand, pushing that way, as you put a massive stress on one end, it bends. So they have to be quite thick to withstand the launch pressures. But actually, there is inaccuracy in this reconstruction, because you'll see that it's equally thick all the way down its length. This is a modern piece of dowling. I think it's cedarwood that's been produced by a machine, I imagine. And it's very easy for a machine to produce something today with even thickness all the way down its length. But, in fact, longbow arrows weren't perfectly even in thickness all the way down their length. And there's a reason for that. Now, I'm going to demonstrate with this piece of balsa wood, which fell out of the sky during a firework display. Now, when I press on the end of this piece of wood, where will it break, do you think? Will it break at some random point? Well, it might, because there may be some
This is fine.
weakness in the wood. But assuming the wood is of equal strength all the way
Need to
down
do
its
anything to it.
it actually will break in a
No
predictable
need for
way.
anything
If
special.
I take this adjustable spanner, yes, that's right, I call it an adjustable spanner because I'm British, and I clamp
We
this
got a
into the
log.
spanner. Oops, wrong way. And what you've got then is let's.
I feel like that's an item.
Infinitely strong. This is totally immobile. If I press down somewhere along the length of this, it will break.
Just a normal item.
Well, I put it to you, it's going to break here. And the reason is because this acts as a big lever, and I push down. So where the leverage, yes, that's right, I said leverage, I'm British, is greatest, it will cause the arrow or bit of wood to break. Okay, it split a bit because of the went down the grain, but you can see it split up towards this end. So if you get another one of these, it was a big firework display, and press in from either end, where will it break? Will it break where the stress is greatest because that's where the stress is being applied, or at the other end? Well, it's going to break in the middle, isn't it? This broke actually surprisingly easily. It's going to break in the middle because this end is acting as a lever on the middle, and this end is acting as a lever on the middle. So the part of the arrow where the leverage of both ends is greatest in effect is actually the middle. So yeah, by and large they will break in the middle. So if you want to make an arrow that's strong enough to withstand the launch stresses, you need to make it thickest in the middle, but actually the ends won't be subject to so much stress. So you could make those thinner and still the arrow would stay intact, would survive launch. And why would you want to do that? Well, you might want to make the arrow lighter. But there's another part of this equation. You see, as soon as you make the stick shorter, you then have to put more stress on it to get it to. Oh, that took a lot more. And you can see it still broke somewhere near the middle. And if we then take a stick that's shorter again, and now you'll understand why I'm wearing gloves, because this is going to hurt, you have to put an awful lot of stress on it. Okay, it didn't break the arcs because of where it split earlier. But you can imagine it.
I need to make the buildable for it. So
by pushing it inwards from the ends. And oh, that really hurts now, even through the glove. So
is any one of these cups or gourds or whatever?
Crossbow bolt or quarrel. By the way, as far as I understand it, the meaning of quarrel derives from the quar, as in quad, quadrilateral, quarter, four. A quarrel has a four-sided warhead on it, a sort of square section thing. And the bolt doesn't necessarily. So that, I think, is why quarrels are called.
I didn't make the jar either.
A quarrel in a crossbow is about that long. But the launch stresses on it can be huge because crossbows are often very powerful. But because it's short, it doesn't have to be very thick to withstand the launch stresses. So a crossbow bolt can be the same thickness as a longbow arrow, even though it may be subject to enormously greater poundage of bow and launch stress. Yeah. Now, where is a longbow arrow thickest, therefore? I said that at the point of greatest stress, so you might say in the middle. But a longbow arrow isn't actually thickest in the middle. And I think the main reason for this is the warhead. Now, if I show you where the balance point on this is, it's about there. See, it's way off in the centre, because this is the point in the arrow with the greatest inertia. Metal is much denser than wood, so just as the centre of gravity is shifted forwards, the inertia of the head is so much greater than the wood behind it that when you launch the arrow, the point at which it bends greatest is also shifted forwards from the centre. So that is why when you look at a medieval arrow, they tend to be barreled, yes, but they tend to be at their thickest somewhere towards the front. Okay, so that explains the shape of medieval arrows. It also explains why crossbow bolts don't have to be quite so thick. But there is more to this. How far will an arrow go? Well, it's based partly on its weight. Think of a stone. How far could you throw a stone? Well, if I gave you a pebble like that, or a little stone, that's why I said stone or pebble, not rock, because I'm British, you couldn't throw it anything like as far as a great big rock like this. A big rock like this, you could put just through far enough so it didn't land on your toe. But a pebble that you could hold in your hand like that, you could throw way further. And why is that? Well, it's because of the inertia. The inertia of a really big thing is really difficult to overcome. So if you are of constant strength, then
Armory Props Hammer 01.
Being the same strength as you were when you tried to throw a large thing, trying to throw a smaller thing will be able to overcome its inertia and accelerate it up to a much higher speed, and so it'll go much further. So the lighter the thing, the further it goes, right? No, you know that's not true. Now, if I take this stone here and this ping pong ball, you will see two objects are roughly the same size. So which of these do you think I could throw further? You know, don't you? I could throw this, even though it's much heavier, much further than this. Why can't I throw a ping pong ball very far?
Just put the stuff just in the armory. I'm sure I'll get to the armory soon enough.
It's so light, I can't throw it very far because as soon as it leaves my hand,
I just make the folder.
it starts slowing down very, very quickly because of air resistance. Now, if I'm on the moon, where there's no atmosphere, I know this is different. But assuming I'm on Earth and I'm trying to throw it through air, this will not go very far because inertia is greater when something has more mass, and that's the reluctance to be accelerated. But momentum is also greater when something has more mass, and that's its reluctance to be decelerated. So the forces of air resistance trying to slow this down are a very easy time.
Torch.
So, in other words, the wind could affect the ping pong ball quite a lot. Whereas when I throw this, it leaves my hand perhaps not going as fast, but air resistance will slow this down very slowly because it's got a lot more mass and a lot more momentum. And if I try to affect this with wind, oh, I didn't actually get it to move, which I wasn't expecting. But it doesn't get affected by wind.
Okay, and then I guess I could do the felling axe too. I don't know where the felling axe is from.
Wind is on something that's being launched from a high-powered warbow or crossbow. The air resistance, when it leaves that weapon, it's
The armory, cool. Oh yeah, because it's an axe. Oh, it's the Francisca. It's the throwing axe. I just made it huge.
Which is good because that means they'll have very low inertia, which means you'll be able to accelerate them really quickly up to very high speeds, which is handy because you've only got that distance of span to accelerate it from stationary to maximum speed. So having something very light is very useful. And those of you who've taken part in science experiments at school where you've got a little car which you have to accelerate using a rubber band or a gas canister or something, you'll know that the lighter the vehicle, the easier it is to get it up to very high speeds. So, if you want to get something a long distance, you want a missile with a lot of range, you want it an ideal weight for the power of whatever your launch method is. If it's the power of your throwing arm, for a stone, say, for instance, there's an ideal weight of stone for a given throw. If it's too heavy, then you won't be able to accelerate it very fast, and it won't go very far for that reason. And if it's too light, then air resistance will affect it too greatly, and it won't go so far. So there's a perfect weight of stone for you to throw. And similarly, there is a perfect weight of arrow for a given power of bow or crossbow. I realised whilst editing this that perhaps I've been a little bit misleading, so I should clarify. Not
Oh, it doesn't look like I can change the scale of these of the thing.
But if it's a very long way away, you might select
Oh, there we go.
specialist shooting Frenchmen who are a long
Cool.
way away arrows, which would be perhaps barreled, and it's called a flight arrow. Arrows designed to
Let me make sure the log. Oh, is the torch? I hadn't done the torch yet. I mean the wood. So let me do the wood too.
minimize weight by tapering
Is it from the armory?
they're light enough to go a long way because light things
Village. Okay, I'll get to it.
but
Might as well just do it now.
still be heavy enough not to be so light.
Let me just make sure this is done.
You were listening good. So a light
Felling
bolt
axe.
with a thin bit of wood that's still
That's
short, strong
Sure,
enough to withstand
cool.
launch pressure will survive the launch of a very, very high poundage but short span and go up to a very, very high speed really, really quickly, which is great. But remember the ping pong ball. The quarrel is light. It doesn't have momentum of something much heavier, so air resistance will have an easy time slowing it down, which is why crossbows were really amazingly deadly up to about 60 yards. Because you fire a crossbow and whoosh, that bolt leaps off the weapon at very high velocity, but after about 60 yards, it slows down really quite significantly. And you could twang one into the air, drop one preemptively, but the often are reported to be unstable and doing different flights they come down. And so at extreme range, a man in armour being hit with a crossbow bolt, probably fine, doesn't bother him that much. But one of these dropping down out of the sky would still be stable because they were long enough and had better flights than the quad. And when they hit you, they would have the weight of the whole of that piece of wood pressing into you. So at very long range,
This is your brain when you enjoy a sweet night's sleep on a Nectar mattress.
today I want to talk about a particular kind of armour that was worn by, amongst others, the Mughals of India. Now this video is sponsored. Yes, I know, I have a sponsor. It's quite extraordinary. Although, perhaps not so extraordinary. I have over the years been approached by many companies wanting to sponsor my videos, but I've always resisted because, well, for one thing, I thought their products were hopelessly unrelated to the content of my videos. One recent attempt, for instance, was a brand of shampoo. I said to them, I think really I'm your guy. The great causes Gerstner is sponsoring this, I think, is a far more pertinent company. I'm going to be saying a bit more about them later in the video. And the other reason is that I think I was speaking to the right. Now, who were the Mughals? Well, a lot of people confuse them with the Mongols, which is quite understandable. They are, after all, related words, because the Mughals did claim descent from the Mongols, well, specifically from Genghis Khan, ruler of the Mongols. They were a nomadic horse people who swept down from somewhere in northeast Asia, where it's all a bit vague. They also claimed
Mongolia?
From Tamerlane the Great. Tamerlane the Great. Timur the Lane has a number of names, but there's that guy. And they ruled large chunks of what today we call India. You've got to remember that before the British unified the country, there wasn't a place, there wasn't a country called India. India was created after World War II as independence from the British, and Pakistan was split away at the same time.
Renaming a file.
Before the British, India is a bloody patchwork of kingdoms ruled by all sorts of different rulers, and a large chunk of India and Pakistan was ruled by.
I wonder if the compiling manager is on somehow.
The kind of armour I'm going to be talking about is quite region-wide, and a lot of it is Persian, and a lot of museum examples are listed as either Persian or Indian, we're not entirely sure. And the Turks wore very similar armour too. So the stuff I'm talking about is Zira Bagtar, or Bakhtar, which is a bit of a mouthful perhaps, but it's okay, you can just call it, if you want, plated mail, if you want to use the English. Now, there's another type of armour, which it often gets confused with. It's a very similar look, but it's different in kind, and that is, that also has several names. I know this, I first introduced it as Ka-Aina, but it's also Cha-Aina, Chahar-Arne, and you can see that they're all sort of similar, and they all translate to 4 mirrors. So if you want to call it 4 mirror armour, you'd be on safe ground. Now, 4 mirror armour has a plate on the front, it's very shiny, like a mirror, and 2 plates, one either side, and one on the back. Those are the 4 mirrors of 4 mirror armour. And it's different in kind because the plates are worn over the top of mail. So you have a mailed hauberk with these 4 plates over the top, and that's 4 mirror armour. But the stuff I'm talking about, Zira Bakhtar, is plated mail where the plates have mail attached to them at the edges, but they're not themselves over the top of other mail. When you see the plates, that is the armour, there's not mail underneath them. And these platelets, that's what you call them, because they're often very small, are mixed in with the mail. Now, one problem with researching this sort of armour is that orthodoxy. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about halberds and how I think they were used. And I must say thank you to my sponsors at The Great Courses Plus. More about them later. Now, the halberd is a weapon that came into common usage in the 15th and 16th century. It's from a time in which the men doing fighting are professionals.
I wonder if it takes just as long to rename this one.
They've got lots of armour. By and large, they're not using shields in this period. So it's the very late medieval and actually early Renaissance period is the high point of halberd use. And there are a number of characteristics about the halberd that make me think that they were perhaps used in a particular way. And I've got a theory which I'm going to explain. Now, before I go much further, I must say that I'm going to be talking about the common types of halberd, the shapes that recur again and again and again, the shapes that I see in all the museums, often on quite plain and very practical looking weapons that look to me as though they were used by normal soldiers in actual battle. Because there are, yes, lots of weird and wonderful exotic halberds with really bizarre heads on them that were perhaps only used in parades or were perhaps used differently. But in that case, I'm not talking about them, because if a weapon is so differently shaped that it has to be used differently, then it's a different shape and it's being used differently, so it's a different weapon, I would argue. So I'm talking about the common sort of halberd. Now, I don't actually have, I'm afraid, an actual halberd to show you, but I do have a couple of bits that I've got for a poleaxe, which is similar but not the same. The poleaxe and the halberd are different weapons. Now this haft of ash I've had made for me specifically to become the haft of a poleaxe, and so you can see that I thought maybe this sort of length was suitable. This is definitely the maximum length. If I want it shorter, I will cut it down from here. And here is the poleaxe head. Now it'll go into that socket, so it'll be that tall when it's put together. I'm not actually completely enamoured with this particular head. I may use a different one. Anyway, a couple of things I want to point out. First, these strips of metal that go down the shaft to protect it are called langets. The fact that they're called langets isn't the thing, it's just I want you to notice that,
Okay.
where they are and what they do. There is a spike at the top. Now this spike, as you can see, is that long, and that's quite typical for a poleaxe. But on a halberd, they're much longer. They're at least that long, and sometimes that long. Really long spikes on the top of a halberd. Another thing about halberds is that they are much longer overall. Halberds are at least this sort of height, and sometimes they're more like that sort of height. So they're much longer. They've got a longer spike on the end. There's something else about the axe head that I will point out later and talk about that separately. Now, they have a long shaft with a long spike on the end, and they're used as a group fighting weapon by men wearing lots of armour. So, it's my feeling that the principal killing bit of the weapon is actually not the axe head, but the spike. It is principally a weapon that achieves what it achieves by thrusts. You find a chink in the armour, an eye slit,
Alright, next one.
Inside of the elbow, the armpit, some little place that's not as armoured as it could be, and you
Most of the signs mounted candle. Cool. I'll just duplicate the house one then. This will be an interactable.
Thick as a finger and very, very strong and wickedly sharp at the top. They're clearly, though, not for chopping. Yes, some of them have got a
mounted candle.
sword blade shape, and sort of have a bit of an edge to them. But I don't think that they're for chopping. In fact, I think they would possibly get in the way of chopping. So you've got a long weapon. One of the things you need to be able to do is fend cavalry off, so a long pointy thing is pretty good for that. You're also using this weapon in a dense formation. Now in a dense formation, there can be guys standing very close to me. There can be a guy here, there can be a guy here, and I can thrust there, I can thrust there, I can thrust there, usefully, without getting in their way. And if something is thrust at the guy to my left, I can knock my opponent's weapon out of the way with my halberd, protecting my friend. So I can easily defend myself and my neighbours, and I can thrust if that's how I use my halberd. But if I decide to swing my halberd about in big, sweeping, hacking movements that I can't really pull off in my room here because I'm going to knock the camera or the habitat globe, which is just out of shot, then I'm going to be sweeping a big area in front of me, which is going to make it very difficult for all my friends to fight properly. There they are, trying to do stuff with their halberds, and perhaps if they're swinging theirs around, we're going to get horrible clashes with each other. And if I try to bring the halberd back like this in order to bring it down with a great crash, then, well, I'm bound to hit someone behind me in a dense formation, aren't I? If I go, ha-ha, then I'm off that guy's Christmas list straight away. So, I don't think then that you're going to expose yourself. Here it comes with a big and then bring it down with a great big crash, because it's a bit telegraphed and it gets in the way of your fellows. So I'd say that most, not all, and I'm not saying that no one would ever chop with a halberd. In some circumstances, perhaps one could, and you could threaten to. You could stand there, I'm going to chop you with this, I'm going to chop you with this, and if you did have the room, that could perhaps force the enemy into doing something that you wanted. But most of the time, in a dense formation, thrusting is going to be more effective. Thrusting against armoured targets is usually more effective as a killing method, and it doesn't interfere with what's going on around you, and it allows you to use the full length of a long weapon. So, the thrust is, I would say, the main killing thing. If you can get someone to come forwards out of the protective line of troops and perhaps fall forwards onto his face, then loads of you could thrust at him from all sides, perhaps one just pinning him down, whilst the guys behind you, they could reach round your waist and they could stab at him, and the guys either side of you could go, hey, it's Christmas, and they could all be stabbing at him to finish him off. I don't see it as particularly likely that if a man falls within range of many men in one formation, that they're going to try to chop at him because they're all going to get in each other's way. And if the guy's well armoured, it's much more difficult to finish someone off with a chop. And in terms of a good stab, you can put an awful lot of force and body weight behind a stab, and you can do it quickly. So, the first thing I'm going to say
item to pick up for sure. Container.
For stabbing, and part of my evidence is the length of the spike on the end of a halberd. Now, if someone is chopping at you with a halberd, this isn't a halberd, remember, you can imagine it, you've got a much longer spike on the end of it. You could try to parry. Now, I'm not saying the best way to defend yourself against a chop from a halberd is with a sword, but just imagine that you are going to go like that and put a sword somewhere to block the blow. So, where would you best do this? Well, you could try to block the axe head itself. Yeah, and yeah, you're actually trying to block the main chopping part of the other guy's weapon. It's a smallish target, and it's a very, very powerful target. That might not be the best bit to go for. Then again, you could try below it, couldn't you? So you could go, aha! Well, you can see that the leverage problem here is not good. He's got a longer, heavier weapon, and its heaviest bit is just there, and I'm not sure that, you know, I'm going to win this battle of strength. So maybe that's not such a great way to parry it. Plus, I have to step up to it. I have to be great enough to step.
I'll have to check out the hand model later.
As he's swinging, I've got to step in past his head and getting close. But I said it's a group fighting weapon. If that's how I'm going to parry his weapon, by getting in close to him, then yes, great. If this is a duel, I can then knock his weapon aside and stab and so forth. But if this is a battle, I get to here, and I'm now definitely within range of all the guys next to him, and perhaps a couple of guys standing behind him. So now I'm fighting 6 guys suddenly, and I'm going to lose. So this isn't a great way. But if there's a great long spike on the end that comes out to here or something, well then I've got a much easier time, because if I put my sword there, then it's going to go clang there, isn't it? And now the leverage is really good. Now I can throw his weapon aside quite easily, because the leverage is bending in my favour, and I can be stepping backwards, moving backwards.
This is a normal item.
And, I can be moving backwards to safety. I much prefer that. And it's a very big target. That long spike at the end, if it's coming at me in a swinging motion, is a very big thing I can aim for to bring up my parrying weapon. Again, I'm not saying that doing that is actually a great way to defend, but if you were, I'm just trying to show you that long spike on the end, if you're using the halberd as a chopping weapon, it's actually a bit of a liability. And it's a liability in another way too, because imagine you've got it's got a long spike on the end. So the halberd comes in, and what it's intending to do is this. I think you'll agree, ow. But let's imagine that I see it coming and think, oh, flinch a bit, and just step back a little bit, like this. Okay. Now, if it's got a very short spike on the end, what will happen is I step back, and instead of being hit there, I get hit, ooh, lower down. And it packs a punch. The big, weighty, choppy bit of the weapon hits me solidly where I would prefer it not to. But if it's got a long spike on the end, which actually makes it harder to swing anyway, because it's going to make the head heavier and more awkward. Now if I step back, instead of being hit in the chest, I'm going to get hit on the shoulder by the side of a thin, probably blunt spike. And remember, I'm wearing lots of armour, so actually it saved me. I don't feel so bad now. And whilst that's happening, I can now perhaps grab his weapon, try to pull it out of his hand.
Plate's done.
Actually, not such a bad situation if I just get plonked on the shoulder by the spiky bit. The long spike on the end of a halberd.
Plow.
Trying to chop in the way that
might have to be just a building that you plop down for
I said I
now.
was going to say something about the Great Courses Plus, and I shall. The Great Courses Plus is an internet service that provides loads of lectures on all sorts of topics. I've been looking principally at the history ones, but there is science and maths and photography and other things too. I noticed, for instance, there's a course on the Etruscans, and
This can just be a basic building.
They couldn't resist calling it the mysterious Etruscans. Now, granted, it's true. The Etruscans are mysterious in that, considering how much we know about them, we know really mysteriously little about them. They had writing, for instance, and yet we can read almost none of it, which makes them quite mysterious. And they were a prominent civilization that influenced the Romans, and yet we still don't really know all that much about them. So yes, they are mysterious in that sense. But I don't know, whenever I hear the word mysterious applied to people of the past like that, I always think that it was just the actual people themselves were mysterious and acted strangely. I'm sure if there was a
ribbons
sitting on with, you know, laying custom bricks,
cool.
and you said,
Do the clothesline for that.
In reply, you know, he was
Just copy that, should work.
because he was just a guy. People in the past were, you know, generally quite mundane and ordinary, most of them. But I suppose the mundane Etruscans isn't such a seller for electricals. I've digressed slightly. Anyway, they have loads of these lectures online. Typically, a course is 24
Perfect.
lectures, each one lasting half an hour. So 12
Just
hours on all sorts of topics.
Reset these.
Which I hope are of great interest to you. And if you want to try them out, you can, because if you click the address in the link of this video, or if you much prefer typing things out for reasons I don't completely understand, you can type out www.thegreatcoursesplus.com/lindybeige. Yes, I think I got it right that time. And then that's another way of getting to a landing page where you will be given a free offer of 1 month's free trial. So you can see an awful lot of lectures in 1 month, and if you don't like it, well then unsubscribe. But I am interested to know if people are liking it, because you know, have I found a good sponsor? Is this the right company that I should have sponsoring my videos? So please, if you've tried out the Great Courses Plus because you've seen me talk about them, could you say so in the comments and tell me something about how it went and how good an experience or heaven forfend bad experience you had? Yeah, please, I'd like a little bit of feedback on this. Oh, what I couldn't do with a bowl of fake pomegranates like that. Oh yes, look at that outfit. Even his tie is beige. I like this guy. Now, back to halberds. Now, remember that I said there's an important other difference between the shape of a poleaxe head, or certain other axes, and a halberd, and that is to do with the axe choppy bit. Now, you'll see that the face of this is set sort of right angled to the shaft. Okay, so the straight edge of it here is parallel, but it's set such that if I swing with this to hit you, the perfect angle is at right angles to the shaft, the perfect angle for hitting you. So you would imagine that this is swung with that sideways chopping motion, because that's the way the blade is set. But on a halberd, if it's got a straight edge, and many of them have straight edges, far more of them have straight edges or concave edges, which you don't see on other sorts of axe. They have straight edges and concave edges, and not convex edges, which you would normally expect. Probably a reason for that. And they're set at a different angle. So instead of the axe head pointing that way, it points that way. It points towards the user.
It's so hot outside today. It's crazy.
And if it's
Like you can feel the hot air just gushing through the window.
The concave blade is not set in a symmetrical crescent like that, but in fact it's an asymmetrical one with the top part of a crescent overhanging the smaller bottom part like that. So again, it seems to be set as if you chop towards the user, and I think that's why. I think it's because you chop towards yourself. So why would you chop towards yourself? Well, there are several reasons. Okay, one reason is if you are fighting in a battle with lots of other people next to you, you are kept safe by staying in line. The main bit of the fighting is going to be done by the guys right at the front, in the front row. And if I swing at my enemy with a big forward chop to hit him like this, whack, like that, I'm putting myself in danger. I'm having to move forwards out of my line. And if I swing and it glances off his armor, or he deflects it, or whatever, it doesn't work, I've missed, there's always going to be a certain amount of extra forward movement, and then I have to
Sharpening stone.
and then retreat to my line again, which is a delay. It may only be a delay of 1 second, but a delay of 1 second can get you killed. So if I have to expose myself by chopping and going forwards to hit properly with my axe head, then it's dangerous. But I can actually do more damage just by thrusting. I've got better range, so I don't have to step so far out if I use the big pointy bit. But what if you chopped towards yourself? What if I've thrust perhaps, and I've missed, And then as I come back, I chop towards myself. I put in a chopping movement as I come back. Well, there are several advantages. One is that as I chop, I'm retreating at the same time. There isn't that delay. I get back to safety with my fellows very, very quickly. And that's how a lot of people fight. If you've seen, I don't know if you I don't know what sort of school you went to, but if you went to the sort of school that I went to when I was little, there were quite a few playground fights. You'd often get one gang squaring up against another gang, and nobody actually really wants to fight. No one actually really wants to.
I could actually try to duplicate the door with this.
Secretly, don't tell anyone that. Outwardly, they're all really up for it, and each one individually is so much braver than the guys next to them. You have guys going, come on, come on, come on, and they ostentatiously step forward out of line, putting themselves in danger. But as soon as anyone actually looks as though they might actually take him on, you go, all right, yeah, come on, oh, why not? What? He just immediately nips back to the safety of his fellows, and then says, oh, what, I thought you were brave. But no one is suicidal. No one wants to, on his own, go right into the middle of all the enemy and get beaten on from all sides. So, if I can retreat to my fellows quickly, that's handy. And I'm only going to take a risk of stepping out for the shortest possible period of time. So I come out.
Looks like the joint is at the same place.
And, oh, I've got an opportunity there. I'm going to go for it. Oh, didn't like that. And I want to come back again. But I can do that pulling chop. Every time I come back, I can do a pulling chop. And why might I want to do that? Well, halberds have got a hook on the back, and the blade on the front is quite hook-like. The chopping part of it, if it's angled towards you, pulls in a hooking manner towards you. Hooking someone forwards towards you is quite handy in a group fight, particularly as everyone's standing forwards like this, trying to get out of range and getting back out of the way, using footwork. But a lot of guys will have their balance forwards, and
I'll have to work on making sure the mouse over on those works.
Just right with their movements, you could, as he carries your blow and then goes forwards to take a counter blow, use advantage of some opportunity he's seen, as you then pull towards and catch on him, you could, whoa, pull him off balance forwards, and he could end up going crunch forwards into danger. As soon as he falls forwards, there are going to be lots of guys around you within range of him. Stab, 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 stab. He's very likely to be killed if you can get him to fall forward. He doesn't even have to fall over it. You just pull him just one stride forward. It's going to take him just a second or two to get back into formation, and that's a second or two that the guys either side of you have got to stab it. So that's one reason you might chop towards yourself. Another reason is that you might hit his weapon, because these weapons are mounted on wooden shafts, and wood has a grain running up and down it. So if you pull towards yourself, you can chop at an enemy weapon and perhaps get into the grain, get a grip, and then strip part of his weapon away. You're not chopping like that against his weapon because you haven't got the angle, and you're not going to chop through his weapon in one blow. But if there are a lot of you constantly doing this, and every time you come back towards yourself, you chop, and you've got a weapon that's shaped so that it can, at an angle, just catch the grain, just shave a little bit more off his weapon, then that's going to be weakening his weapon all the time, and he won't want you to do that. So he's going to have to take steps to move his weapons out of the way so that doesn't happen. And as long as he's doing that, he's not hitting you. So it effectively is a defense. It's an attack which also acts as a defense. So that is how I think halberds were used. Now, if you want to know how sword was used, my goodness, there are so many treatises. If a noble wants to fight another noble, there are so many treatises he can look at for sword against sword, sword against dagger, sword against poleaxe, sword against fish. There's precious little on how the ordinary man in a big group battle uses a group fighting weapon like a halberd. So we have to do a fair bit more speculation. Anyway, I think halberds were principally thrusting weapons, were principally used, held at one end and taking advantage of their reach. I think the stabbing end was what did most of the actual killing, and I think that the chopping part of it was principally used to chop towards yourself, and this was to keep you safe, to have a go at his weapon and to hope that you can hook him forwards off balance. That is how I think halberds were used. Today I'm going to talk about some general principles, and I'm going to argue that they apply not just to fist fights but also to medieval dueling and right the way through all sorts of conflicts, right up to the Western Front in World War II and beyond perhaps. And in this video, which is sponsored by our friends at The Great Courses Plus, more of them later, I'm going to present three, actually that's not very perspective, maybe I can do better. Yes, three principles which I think can be illustrated to work on these general scales. And the first of these, is the idea of minimum force. So, if you have to fight someone and something is required of you, you should use a certain amount of force, because it's a fight, right? Force is required. But how much should you use? Well, I'm going to argue that if you can, if you've got the skill to, you should use
that?
absolute
That wasn't somebody like subscribing or something weird noise. Was that?
So, for example, we're having a fist fight.
Some crazy donation I never heard before. No.
But anyway, we're having a fight.
Didn't think so.
And you throw a punch straight at me, straight like that. If I do nothing, it's just going to biff me straight.
I should add these in there and start testing. There's a lot of things to test and fix. I wanted to get through. Let me get through and then I'll test and fix all of them.
That way, with a huge amount of effort, I can throw my body weight into it, turn on all my muscles, my chest and back and shoulders and arms. Stiff and hard.
Signs. Those are easy. Those are just meshes.
Like that. Yes, I could do that, or I could do something much smaller like that. Now if I do this, my two hands acting in concert have guided your punch that was coming here just to there. So, and notice that I've also moved my head slightly, but just by the minimum amount to make sure that it's not in the way of the punch.
Armory.
So, maybe I've in fact blocked your attack by such a tiny amount.
Easy.
Block is the wrong word. I've dealt with your attack by such a tiny amount that I can feel your thumb of your fist just brush my beard as it goes past. Now, if you miss me by 2 yards, I take no damage. If you miss me by a 1/16 of an inch, I take no damage. The amount of damage I take is the same. But if I'm here, I'm in a very good position to strike back and retaliate. Whereas if I'm all the way over here, I've now got to take all that body weight that was committed that way, I've thrown my whole torso that way, and I've got to bring all those muscles that were acting in that direction to a halt, and I've got to turn everything around and bring my body all the way back before I can retaliate, which takes far longer. Whereas if I just go like that, and my dealing with your attack and counter come one after the other almost immediately. So the ability to counterattack if you deal with an incoming attack using the minimum of force is greater, and that counterattack is in line with my centre of body mass. Now I could of course knock you all the way over there, and I could, rather than trying to bring my whole body back for a counter punch like that, I could just flick like that. But that's not got my body weight behind it, whereas that has. So for a more powerful attack, you want to bring your centre to bear on your opponent. So the more force you do that with, the slower you will be in getting your counter-attack in. And this would pertain to a sword fight. So for instance, you do an attack like that coming down at me, and for whatever reason I go bang, and I knock your sword aside with a stupendous amount of force. The tip of your sword goes miles over there. Just nowhere near me. Unfortunately, the tip of my sword has also gone miles over there. And now we've got a race to get back to strike, and I'm in the same position. I've got so much more committed weight in that direction that it takes quite a long time to come back and strike. And there are several reasons why I might lose that race. The first is that perhaps you didn't come at me like a bull at a gate. Bulls, famously, when fighting matadors, tend to lose. They use a tremendous amount of strength, don't they? Bull is far stronger than a matador. Charge really hard, but a skilled matador tends to win against a bull. If you are holding your sword more deftly as you come forwards like that, and I knock your sword with a huge amount of committed weight and effort over there, you would just be knocked just a little bit, and you won't, because you're not stiff. If you were gripping your sword with fury and stiff with body, if I knocked you hard that way, the whole of you would be knocked aside. But in fact, if you're much more loose and deft, not doing so much effort in, you might only be knocked like that, in which case you've got far less to bring back. And it's worse, because if you're a good swordsman and you're holding your sword more deftly, you can use my force against me. So if you knock my blade that way, rather than you're going like that, which is quite often what stuntmen doing movies and they're knocked aside by the hero, you could just let the sword go. You're holding the sword not gripped very firmly, but you're just holding the blade by the minimum amount necessary, so that you're hanging on the sword, and the sword goes off that way, and you continue using my strength. You continue. The momentum is put into your blade, bring it round, and then you hit me. So you go like that, and I end up looking rather silly and bifurcated. So using more force than is necessary is a bad idea in a sword fight. And what if you used a feint? What if you, for instance, came down like this but then stopped? And then I, assuming that you were committed along that line, I fell for your feint with line and sinker, and I went wah across like that. You could just go stop, see me go past and go stop, and win. So don't use more force than is necessary. Don't grip your sword harder than is necessary. Don't turn on more muscles. Don't put more body weight than is necessary into a move, because a skilled opponent will use that against you. And you could take this further right up to the grand strategic situation on the front. If, for instance, here's the Western Front in World War II, and the enemy attacks here. Well, if you then think, right, let's stop that attack in its tracks, and you put division after division of infantry and all your artillery and tanks and so forth, there's no way they're going to break through the line there. Yes, you've stopped them, but you've stopped them using far more force than was necessary. What if it was a feint attack? What if the main attack is now coming somewhere else along your line? Well, you're now in no position to counter that, are you? You've been suckered. And if the enemy is attacking with tanks, what's the correct gun to use to stop those tanks? Well, I would argue that it's the minimum gun necessary to knock those tanks out. So whether you knock them out at 2,000 yards or 1,000 yards is not really very material. You just have to stop the attack before their tanks overrun your position and rout your troops and break through. And if you put a hole that big in the front of the tank, there the enemy is driving a tank, driving a tank, this is good. I like to, oh, there's a hole in my tank. And that means that the enemy can see me and they've got a gun that can put holes in this tank. I don't want to be in this tank anymore. Open hatch, abandon. You don't actually have to annihilate the tank, destroy it completely. You just have to put it out of action and get persuade the crew to abandon it. If you put a hole this big all the way through the tank and out the other side, and then create a massive crater in the ground behind the tank and a huge explosion, well, yes, it may be more photogenic, but you've just stopped the attack. And how could you do that anyway? You need an enormous gun to do that. If you've got the smallest anti-tank gun that will do the job, then you can have more of those anti-tank guns because they're cheaper to produce and easier to transport, and you can put them covering more lines of attack, and they're easier to camouflage. You need far fewer men to crew them, far fewer men to move them, a smaller vehicle to tow them, less fuel to go into that vehicle. Every advantage is with the minimum gun that will do the job. And that's one of the explanations for why in World War II a lot of guns that were used at the front weren't in fact utterly devastating. They were just enough to do the job. Okay, sometimes if the enemy tanks got a bit better, then they weren't quite enough to do the job. But you use the gun that will do the job and no more, because that's the best for the situation. So there you go. There's our first principle: use of minimum force, and it applies at all scales. The second principle that I'm going to talk about is staying in contact. Now, let's go back to our fist fight. So you threw that punch, it came straight at me, and I did that. Okay, my hands are actually in contact with your arm. This one's up towards your shoulder, this one's something about halfway down your forearm, say. I can feel where you are, which is one big advantage. So if you then, from there, try to go over the top and attack me that way, I can feel and move with you and still keep you away from me and keep me safe. So those are the two things. I can feel what you're doing and I can influence your movement. Those are the two big advantages of staying in contact with you. Now I studied a martial art called Wing Chun, various spellings, including this one and this one. There's a technique called Chi Sao, which is usually safe. And all the time you're in a position to counterattack. It's a very efficient way of fighting. If I knock you miles over there, I can't influence your movements now. I'm not in contact with you and I can't feel what you're doing, which means that I have to see it or guess what you're going to do and then react always a little bit more slowly. If I'm in contact with you, I can react immediately because I can feel what you're doing and go with it. Now, there are two really obvious ways to deal with this staying in contact technique. So one is hugely and suddenly to increase the amount of force you're using. So if, for instance, your arm is like that and I've plonked mine on you like that, what you could do is you could push my arm way over to the side, opening up a gap so that you could then punch me. Fine, but if you use that sudden sideways movement to open me up, I can feel what you're doing and immediately slip off. And if you've put loads of force into that and you go over that way, I will be in a position to hit you. And you'll still be travelling that way. I will win the race because you've committed much more of your weight and strength in that direction than I have. So you will have to bring it through the whole. It's the same thing as hitting too hard. It's the same sort of principle. And the other thing you can do is slip off. So again, we're in the same situation. You suddenly decrease the amount of contact and you slip off that way and you can hit me. Except, again, you suddenly decrease, I feel, oh, I'm free, biff, and I hit you. Now, in a sword fight, if you go into, HEMA people talk about going into the bind. I'm sure there are German and Italian words that mean the same thing. So two swords come together, clash, and rather than springing off each other, as soon as my sword springs off yours, I'm no longer in contact with you, I can't feel what you're doing and I can't influence. But if I swing in and we come to a halt and we've gone into the bind and I stay with you, I stay in contact deliberately with you, then if you take your sword away, I will feel that and I will be able to thrust straight in because I've got the opening. If you do the same thing as dealing with a man using Wing Chun and you heave me to the side, again I can slip off and counter using your force against you. So going into the bind, staying with the opponent, with spears as well. You quite often will see the spearmen staying in contact with each other and they do all sorts of big circular parries, and there's a lot of noise of the two shafts of the spears knocking against each other and sliding around each other rather than just stabbing in space. Oh, by the way, this reminds me, I made a video quite recently called, well, originally it was called 6 Reasons to Parry with the Edge. I later, after someone who rather misinterpreted it, complained, I changed it to 6 Reasons you might parry with the Edge. When I was talking about all that, I was holding this sword, and so a lot of people thought, oh, that's the sort of sword that you use in HEMA, so this must be a HEMA instructional video. No, it wasn't a HEMA instructional video, and I didn't mean that it was 6 reasons why anyone who knows anything about sword fighting would only ever parry with the edge, and only the edge under all circumstances, because that is the correct thing to do. It would have been rather a long title. Instead, I had this rather clickbaity title, 6 Reasons to Parry with the Edge, which I was hoping would really get people to click on it. Alright, it's 6 reasons why you might end up, despite your best intentions, hitting edge to edge with your opponent. Now, of course, something complication I didn't deal with was that swords wouldn't always meet perfectly at right angles, either edge to edge or edge to flat or flat to flat. In fact, most of the time it's some sort of combination of edge and flat because you're meeting at some weird angle. Similarly, when I talked about using the strong part of the sword, the width of it, because it's stiffer and stronger, I didn't mean that you should use loads of strength, because you should use, as this video is trying to make clear, you should use the minimum amount of force necessary to do the job. And if I had been making an instructional video for HEMA people, I perhaps would have pointed out that in the medieval treatises, they don't talk about always using the edge. You must use the edge. They don't talk about that. They just talk about getting at the right angle to your opponent. This, you head off his attack with your sword held at some angle or other, and some part of your blade will clash against some part of his blade, but it doesn't really matter. It wasn't a concern. It was other things were a concern. So if you really should parry with the edge, then presumably some swordsmaster would have mentioned that in some treatise or other. Instead, no, it's to do with angles of attack and responses and so forth. It's, anyway, sorry, bit of a sidetrack, but I thought I'd get that in. Right, so what was I talking about? What was I talking about? Staying in contact. So, staying in contact in a sword fight or a spear fight. And the Western Front in World War II, stay in contact with the enemy. If he suddenly slips off, so if the enemy suddenly vacates an area of the front, go forwards. You may think, well, it may be a trap, but you want to stay in contact with the enemy, because then, and only then, can you influence his movement and know what he's up to. And if he wants to attack at this part of the line, so he pulls out here and moves across, he's opened up a gap here. You could pour through and attack immediately. If you're in contact with him,
I think I need to take a break. There's a lot more left. I'm trying to like power through it.
Right up against that line, you can just charge straight through.
It is very hot.
Create a big problem for him immediately.
Alright, take care for now.
And so both in defense and